A warm welcome to Loyola TV News in Brief. To present it, my name is Moka Sibuku. We take a look at the headlines. Zambia upholds high service delivery to people living with HIV virus despite the coronavirus pandemic. A 29-year-old man arrested for axing to death his 81-year-old grandmother. The Lusaka Golf Club is set to break the ground for development of infrastructure with 110 million United States dollars reinvestment. And now the details. Zambia has upheld high service delivery to people living with the HIV virus. This is despite the coronavirus pandemic. This is because health facilities remain vigilant to ensuring that people living with HIV receive medical care without any interruption. The network of people living with HIV and AIDS made these observations in an interview with Loyola News. Fred Chungu, the executive director for the network, says Zambia's initiative to set up community access points has helped to maintain high standards of health service delivery.
The treatment for people living with HIV is taken from the health facility and taken into the community. That is one way of avoiding COVID in the health facilities. So the other one is to do with the month dispensing, where our people are getting treatment for 6 months. That is one way of, again, avoiding the COVID in the health facilities. So I wouldn't say it has really disturbed, but the government thought it were proactive in overcoming those challenges of COVID. So on that note, I continue commending the government for such innovations, as well as the ones that we are implementing as people living with HIV, where we are collecting the treatment and taking it into the community.
Five people have died along the Mansa-Samfya Road. This was in a car accident where 3 other people have sustained injuries. The road traffic accident happened last night at about 20:30 hours. Esther Katongo, the Zambia Police Service spokesperson, has confirmed the accident to Loyola News. Ms. Katongo is alarmed by the number of road traffic accidents in the recent days and has urged motorists to exercise caution by ensuring that they observe road traffic rules.
5 people have died while 3 others sustained injuries in a road traffic accident which occurred yesterday at about 20:30 hours on Mansa-Samfya Road. Involved was an unregistered Toyota Harrier which was being driven by Taila Simpemba, aged 22 of Nakonde. He was driving from south to northern direction. And when he reached Chief Chisunga area, he lost control of the motor vehicle as a result of excessive speed. And the driver died on the spot. Others who died have been identified as Jackson Nshinga, age 32, male juvenile Morgan Kachemba, aged 5, which is 5 years, female juvenile Bridget Chishima, age unknown age, male juvenile Amon Nshinga, aged 2, all of Kaputa district. The injured are in Mansa General Hospital being attended to and have been identified as Mary Chilea, aged 22, male juvenile Ruben Musonda, aged 5 months, and Elijah, whose other names are not yet known, aged 30. The bodies of the deceased are in Mansa General Hospital mortuary awaiting postmortem.
Yesterday, 6 people died on the spot while others are nursing serious injuries after a road traffic accident that occurred in Mwense Mansa Road. A 29-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly murdering his 81-year-old grandmother. Kefas Chibesa, now in police custody, axed his grandmother on the head several times until she passed on. Annie Taulo, the grandmother, has been against Kefas Chibesa's habit of smoking marijuana, which is also known as chamba. Chola Katanga, the Central Province Police Commissioner, has confirmed the incident, which happened yesterday in PCC area in Kapirimposhi district. The non-governmental Gender Organization Coordinating Council has condemned videos seemingly showing late musician David Piri, aka Dave, being made to kneel and apologize while he was being whipped with a belt. The organization has been alerted to the videos circulating on social media in which some women are seen physically abusing Dave. The videos surfaced yesterday following Dave's death in a road traffic accident. 4 other passengers also died in the car accident. Chilufya Siwale has since urged law enforcement agencies to take keen interest in the matter and bring the perpetrators to book.
The Non-Governmental Gender Organizations Coordinating Council has been alerted to a video circulating on social media in which some women are seen physically abusing the late musician Mr. David Peary, who died in a road accident on Sunday, 27 September 2020. As an organization, we are appalled by the behavior of the women in the video. As we have stated before, NGOCC condemns in the strongest terms any form of violence regardless of the perpetrator, whether female or male. We therefore condemn in the strongest terms the behavior of the 2 women. It is our hope that the law enforcement agencies will take keen interest in the matter. We however urge both women and men, girls and boys, to desist from any form of violence, as it is retrogressive to the national development of our country.
Zambia will conduct its first ever online e-census for the forthcoming 2020 national census. The e-census will be the 6th census conducted in the country since independence. The census was billed to be undertaken this year, but due to the coronavirus pandemic and limited resources, it is now due to be conducted next year. Mulenga Musepa, the Zambia Statistics Agency interim statistician general, has told Loyola News that the census mapping and listing processes have been done.
This is an e-census. It's the first time that we are going e-census. And obviously, it has a lot of advantages that you always get when you are doing, you are working with online solutions. For example, it's as simple as saying making a payment using the phone. Okay, you can do it from home. So similar advantages apply to the e-census. Modern census is very, very different. What you need to try and do, you want to take stock of people, because these people have got needs, and with the coming of governments, modern day governments, the governments have got a role in terms of providing to the people various public services, public goods. They want to know, for example, provide hospitals and to provide schools. They want to have a projection of how many people they're going to provide for.
The census is aimed at taking stock of the number of people in the country in order to assist government to make projections of how many people need social services such as healthcare and education. The digital online pilot census, to act as a test to the main census, will be conducted next month. Meanwhile, Zambia Statistics Agency says it will target youths in rural areas to conduct the census. Mr. Musepa says this will be in order to curb the unemployment rates among the rural youths.
We do understand the youth unemployment challenge, and what I've done is to revolutionize the recruitment. I do understand, with the support of the peers, that a lot of youth are out there, grade 12s, and some of them, in fact, are university graduates. We can actually put them to productive use if we give them an opportunity to actually do the census. And therefore, even the pilot is all going to be the youth.
The effects of load shedding is severely felt by households and across the business communities, with many people looking forward to the coming months, especially March 2021, when load shedding will be a thing of the past. The Zambezi River Authority says it is playing its part by putting up additional water storage. Christopher Chisense, the Water Resources and Environment Management Director, says once the facilities are put in place, they will complement the existing infrastructure at the Kariba Dam. Mr. Chisense says that through the principle of reuse of water, the new storage facilities will help generate more electricity and ultimately contribute to reduction in load shedding.
To mitigate what you just raised is increasing the generation potential on the Zambezi River. The Zambezi River, that is located between the border between Zambia and Zimbabwe, has got other areas where you can put up additional water storage infrastructure. For example, by now you should have heard that we are in the process of beginning to construct the Batoka Gorge hydroelectric scheme, which is located 47 kilometers downstream of Victoria Falls. There's also 1 or 2 additional dam sites between Kariba and Batoka, and in fact, even downstream of Kariba. So once we are able to put up additional dams on those existing potential sites, we'll be able to reuse the water in terms of power generation and mitigate issues to do with load shedding. So that is the long-term plan that we have, put up additional water storage and power generation facilities so that those complement the existing infrastructure at Kariba, and through the principle of reuse of the water, we have generated more electricity and obviously eliminate load shedding.
The Zambezi River Authority says the rehabilitation works at the Kariba Dam have progressed despite setbacks as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic. The rehabilitation works at the dam are meant to ensure that the dam remains efficient in its operations. The $294 million United States project, which involves reshaping the plunge pool and refurbishing of the spillway, began in 2017 and is expected to be completed in 2023. We take a look at international news. Zimbabwe's State Security Minister Owen Ncube has accused the opposition of working with Western governments to smuggle in guns and oust President Emmerson Mnangagwa and his government. Officials from the opposition movement for democratic change have, however, described the allegation as false and said that the party was committed to non-violence. Without providing evidence, Mr. Ncube says a Western country, which he did not name, had come up with a plan to make Zimbabwe ungovernable to justify foreign intervention. Working with the opposition under what he called Operation Lighthouse, the minister said weapons would be smuggled in and militia set up. Rights groups say President Mnangagwa's government has become increasingly intolerant of criticisms, especially during the current economic crisis. They have condemned the recent jailing of politicians and activists on what they call bogus charges. The Zimbabwean authorities, started with the former President Robert Mugabe, have long accused Western countries of backing regime change. But many observers will view this latest trade as further evidence of a government that is under pressure and lashing out. Residents of Mombasa slum won a landmark payout in July, a pollution by a lead smelter that poisoned locals. Kenya's government was ordered to pay $12 million United States to residents within 90 days because of its failure to enforce environmental regulations with the smelter, which closed in 2014. But the government has appealed the payout, as Voice of America reports from Mombasa, Kenya.
Authorities shut down the lead smelter run by Kenya Metal Refineries EPZ Limited in 2014 due to severe pollution and after several deaths that locals blamed on poisoning. But it wasn't until July this year that an environmental and land court awarded the residents of Mombasa's Owino Uhuru slum a $12 million payout. It was the first time that the Kenyan government was ordered to compensate victims for failing to stop pollution, setting a precedent for future claims. But the celebration was short-lived, as Kenya's Attorney General's office said it was dissatisfied with the decision and plans to appeal.
Hiyo vile wamefanya ni kuonyesha wajali watu wake. The government has shown that it does not value the residents here because people have fallen and some have died. People here are still suffering as a result, but the government has disregarded all this. If the government was concerned about our welfare, they would have settled the claim, but instead, they are abusing the court process through this appeal.
48-year-old Anastasia Nambo says the pollution gave her constant migraines and body aches, but she can no longer afford her pain medication.
My entire family has been affected. We were all tested and found to have been poisoned by the emissions. My children's memories were affected, leading to poor performance in school. They complain of joint aches and migraines every day.
Smoke from the smelter discolored rooftops, and a 2015 report by lawmakers said water in the area was contaminated by lead. The court in July also ordered Kenya's National Environmental Management Authority to clean up remaining pollution. But the government's appeal has put that cleanup effort in doubt. Kenya activist group Center for Justice, Governance and Environmental Action helped locals with suing the government.
It's been like a decade of suffering for these people. When they continue prolonging this, more people will continue to suffer and more will die. It also means that there is no closure for the families that lost their loved ones, and also there's no health and continuity of safe, sustainable life in this community is at risk.
Kenya's Attorney General's office declined to comment on the appeal, and requests for comment from the National Environmental Management Authority went unanswered. Meanwhile, residents like Nambo and her family are left waiting and hoping that the court's ruling is upheld. Lenny Ruvaga for VOA News, Mombasa, Kenya.
As the world's attention is focused on the presidential elections in America, another important vote for a key position is generating controversy in Africa. Chadian politician Moussa Faki Mahamat is running unopposed to re-election as chairman of the African Union Commission. Critics say his run is undemocratic and they are seeking to extend the nomination deadline to November. The Voice of America reports from Johannesburg.
African Union Commission Chairman Moussa Faki Mahamat is running unopposed for re-election as Africa's top diplomat. But that uncontested race has provoked outrage from observers of the 55-member African Union, which they say is failing to represent the needs of the continent's 1.3 billion people. Critics of the Ethiopia-based organization are lobbying to postpone the vote at least 6 months to let more candidates come forward. The author of a petition by the Coalition of Supporters Unions of Africa says the AU did that 4 years ago, when there were only 3 candidates for that seat. He spoke to VOA via Google Hangouts.
How come that 4 years down the line, at the same time, we are having only 1 candidate, and people are telling us that that is representative enough? If 3 wasn't representative enough, how can 1 be representative enough?
Analyst Liesl Lovaudran of the Institute for Security Studies says this vote, cast by African heads of state, not by the general population, is important.
The AU Commission chairperson also has to represent the continent on the world stage, basically, when it comes to Africa's relations with the European Union, with China, with the US, with the UN. And he has quite a lot of leeway, I would say.
That's why, says Pan-African activist Daniel Mbonu, it's critical to get a leader who truly represents the continent. He supports the petition to delay the vote. He spoke to VOA from Nairobi via Google Hangouts.
He has displayed a lot of incompetency in the organization and running of the AU, of the African Union organization. At the same time, he has been unable to address issues that are facing people of African descent around the world. And there have been allegations of massive fraud at the African Union, corruption, nepotism, which governs the appointment of people to different positions. Over the years, we have seen that the African Union has failed to attain the objectives that it was founded on.
So if not Mahamat, then who? Critics say one candidate, the AU's former ambassador to the U.S., a Zimbabwean national, has been sidelined after she was removed from that position last year. Both critics also claim the AU has been heavily influenced by former colonial leader France. Since 2002, 4 of the 5 commission chairpersons have hailed from Francophone nations.
Just by the uproar that came around after the purported sack of Madame Marikana Chiombo-Rikwa, I would say, and my organization says, that Faki Mahamat is a failure. He is not somebody that should lead Africa for another 4 years. And we want a change. Now, come to think of it, Madame Marikana Chiombo-Rikwa herself has filed an application for nomination to become, a runner for that same position. And we have a situation where her nomination has gotten lost at the AU headquarters. And that is very, very strange.
The AU has not been able to meet in person in recent months because of the global pandemic. The petition to delay the election has gotten 16,000 signatories, Ababresa says. If granted, it would move the vote into early 2021. Anita Powell, VOA News, Johannesburg.
The number of people worldwide who have died of COVID-19 has crossed 1 million. Researchers say that many regions are still reporting surging numbers of new infections. The tally by Johns Hopkins University shows that deaths in the US, Brazil, India make up nearly half that total. Experts caution that the true figure is probably much higher. UN Secretary-General Antonio Guterres called it a mind-numbing figure and an agonizing milestone. The development comes nearly 10 months after news of the coronavirus began to surge from Wuhan, China. The pandemic has since spread to 188 countries, with more than 32 million confirmed cases. Lockdowns and other measures to try to stop the virus spreading have thrown many economies into recession. Meanwhile, efforts to develop an effective vaccine are continuing, although the World Health Organization has warned that the death toll could hit 2 million before one is widely available. And in sports, the Lusaka Golf Club is set to break the ground for development of infrastructure with $110 million United States reinvestment. This follows previous attempts to engage a developer to upgrade the golf club were blocked through court process. The country's biggest golf facility can perhaps now look to a new era. A $100 million United States deal between the club and Time Projects Properties Limited has been. The deal will see Time Projects demolishing the current Lusaka Golf Club house and constructing a new one of international repute. Noah Onkoma, the Lusaka Golf Club president, tells Loyola News that in the eventual phases, there will also be a 5-star hotel constructed and an office park. Mr. Nkoma says the board of the club is committed to raise the standards at the club and redesign the golf course to make it more
committed to $110 million investment of the club. One clubhouse you are seeing here has been standing here for over 50 years. We are bringing it down and putting up a modern clubhouse. Already there is a budget spend of about $3 million to upgrade the new clubhouse. The golf course you are seeing where we are standing now, there's another facelift. Another $3 million is going into the golf course to make it an international golfing resort. We are putting up a 5-star hotel right behind you where we are standing here. We are already talking to potential partners to manage that hotel, but the developer, Time Projects, is already on board to a total spend of about $110 million.
The Lusaka Golf Club boasts an 18-hole course that is intricately incorporated into parkland setting. The greens conform to international standards and the club has a full country club facility. The Lusaka Golf Club is probably Zambia's most prestigious sporting facility, attracting a good cross-section of golfing nationals to Zambia. Well, on that sporting note, we have come to the end of our news in brief. But before we go away, let's just take a recap of the top stories. Zambia has upheld high service delivery to people living with HIV despite the coronavirus pandemic. This is because health facilities remain vigilant in ensuring that people living with HIV virus receive medical care without any interruption. The network of people living with HIV/AIDS made these observations in an interview with Loyola News in Lusaka. A 29-year-old man has been arrested for allegedly murdering his 81-year-old grandmother. Cephas Chibesa, now in police custody, axed his grandmother on the head several times until she passed on. Annie Taulo, the grandmother, had been against Cephas Chibesa's habit of smoking marijuana, also known as chamba. The Lusaka Golf Club is set to break the ground for development of infrastructure with $110 million United States dollars reinvestment. $100 million United States dollars deal between the club and Time Projects Properties Limited has been signed. The deal will see Time Projects demolishing the current Lusaka Golf Club house and constructing a new one of international repute. Well, that's what we had for you on our news in brief for today. On behalf of the entire production and news crew, my name is Moka Sibuku. Good night and God bless.